In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a closed system transfer using a simple glass carboy. Want to see more about it? Keep on watching. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Last year I did a review video of the Fermentosaurus where I was showing a closed system transfer from the Fermentosaurus, which is a pressure vessel, into a keg using a closed system transfer to keep the air out and the oxygen out of the beer, because for those of you who don't know, having air exposure at this point in the brewing process is detrimental, or can be detrimental, to the final end product of the beer. It will either cause off flavors, staling, and even shorten the shelf life of the beer. So it is in your best interest when you brew beer to keep oxygen exposure to a minimum, which is why the closed system transfer method is really a good way to solve that problem. And the Fermentosaurus could do that no problem because it was built for it. Now, people have asked, how do you do this without the Fermentosaurus? Well, you can do it with simple glass carboys and some extra hardware like a wrecking cane, a carboy cap, and some parts. And so I thought I'd throw this video together to show you how to do that. And if you want to see more about it, keep on watching. All the parts I'm going to use here today are right here in front of us, folks, except for the carboy and or the kegs. All right, so let's get started with the center piece in the middle here. This is a 30-inch wrecking cane. Now this is a 30-inch stainless steel wrecking cane. You probably can use plastic. I actually have some plastic ones which are shorter for 5-gallon carboys, but I have 6.5-gallon carboys and 5-gallon carboys, so I needed to get the longer size to accommodate the 6.5-gallon carboys. So it's the 30-incher. And speaking of carboys, I also have some caps here, a 5-gallon carboy cap and a 6.5-gallon carboy cap. They are different sizes, so I had to buy hardware to retrofit both of these because I have both 5 and 6.5-gallon carboys. I also have about 6 to 7 feet of 5/16 ID vinyl tubing, and I have repurposed and reused basically a jumper cable, that I've made previously and used, I think, in my Fermentosaurus video where I was doing the closed system transfer. So I'm going to repurpose and reuse some of the equipment I already have, save money, save space, etc., right? And I also have some specialty parts here, some of these hose stems, some male flare to hose barb fittings, which actually were hard to find. I found them online from a company called, I think it's Shy company out in California. I'll put the link for all these parts down below. But this is a quarter. These two here are 1/4 hose barb by 1/4 male flare fittings. This one is a little bit bigger. This is a 3/8 hose barb by a 1/4 inch male flare fitting, and I have a couple nylon flare washers. I'm missing a third one here, but I can get away or use Teflon tape instead, and a small number of clamps here to clamp it all together. So let's get moving. You might be scratching your head at this moment wondering why I have 2 sets of hoses and the connection hardware for them on here. Well, I'm trying to do 2 things here. I'm trying to do open and closed transfers with this same device. So again, I'm a home brewer, but I'm also a winemaker. So for my wines, I like to rack from carboy to carboy every few months while the wine bulk ages, and that would be accomplished with the open transfer hose. Now, as a home brewer now, I also like to now rack between my carboy and my keg in a closed system. So I have another hose with a black Beverage disconnect for the keg. So using this kind of hybrid system, I have fewer parts and a lot of less fooling around, but I want to repurpose it for an open or a closed system transfer. I'm going to take this jumper hose and take off one of the quick disconnects because I don't need 2 of them on here. I just need one to reach the ports on the keg. So I'm going to take one off and push this off to the side. I don't need this for a while now. Now this is the 5/16 ID tubing. I can use this entire length. If all I was doing was just using this hose and not trying to go back and forth between these 2 hoses, I would just use this entire length and attach it right to the wrecking cane, but that's not my goal today. Today I want to have a little length here that I'm going to use, and you'll see why in just a little bit. So I cut off a little piece about yay long. The exact length is not important. For the open-ended transfer hose, I just took the 5/16 ID tubing I showed earlier and added a Beverage nut and stem assembly with a hose clamp over it. Now I'm going to take one of these ends here and stick it in some really hot water. I've already heated this water up in the microwave, so I'm going to soften up the plastic in this hose so it stretches over easier on top of the racking cane. And while that's sitting there, I'm going to go ahead and start putting my clamp on the racking cane. And this might be warmed up. Let's pull this out. Now I'm going to go ahead and slide this on over the top of the racking cane. There it goes. Slide it on about yay far. Put the clamp over the top, screw it down. Now I dip the other end into the hot water and let it soak for a little bit and soften up. Alright, pull it out, put the next clamp over the top and slide on and push in the 3/8 hose barb, fitting in all the way like that, and put the little clamp over the top and tighten that down too. Okay. What you have at this point now is a racking cane with this little attachment on there. So from this point on now, you can actually attach the different hoses to the end of this, whether it be your open-ended transfer hose or your closed system transfer hose. They just screw right onto there, and that's why I did it this way. For the carboy caps, I did something similar like I did with the hoses, where I soaked the tip here into some hot water to get it nice and soft. Then I insert one of these 1/4-inch hose barb by 1/4-inch male flare fittings in there, and I clamp it down with a tiny hose clamp just like that on both of these, and that's as simple as that. When I rack to a keg, I prefer to fill the keg up with some CO2 to displace any air inside the keg to help minimize oxygen contact. So I'll attach my CO2 tank to the keg, fill it up with some CO2, pull the check valve and purge as much of the air out of there as possible, and then I'll disconnect the gas and pull the check valve again to release the pressure inside. So I know that I have a full keg full of CO2 at atmospheric pressure basically. Next I take the carboy cap with the airlock off and put this device on. Then I take the CO2 and remove the gray disconnect and screw the end of the hose right onto the carboy cap footer fitting there. And then I pop my black bev disconnect onto the bev port on the keg. Alright, let's go here. I got the check valve open up here so it doesn't build pressure up in here. Got this regulator set to about 2 psi. Everything else is plugged in. I want to slowly turn it on and see what happens here. There it goes, folks. That's how you do a closed system transfer with a glass carboy. Pretty straightforward process, right? I got a 5-gallon keg here of my homebrew, all racked in this closed system environment, no exposure to oxygen. I have a high degree of confidence that this beer is going to be awesome for months to come if I don't drink it well before then, right? Which I probably surely will, but at least I have the comfort of knowing I can take my time drinking this and not have it stale and break down and go bad because of the oxygen exposure it could have had during this transfer process. Pretty straightforward. Now, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you're a new viewer and not yet a subscriber, pick on the subscribe button and ring the bell next to it so you get notified of future updates or new videos I make. And if you feel so inclined that I may have saved you a few dollars from buying a overpriced or very expensive conical or pressure vessel when all you need is your glass carboy to do this, and I saved you a ton of money, feel free to give me some of that money. Throw me a tip over at PayPal or my Patreon page, and it'll be much appreciated. Okay, so other than that, talk to you later. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out other videos on my YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe.